Well, hello there, Retro PC Durham. It's Chris here. We're back with our Pentium II Windows 98 PC. I've had a little bit of time to get things tidied up and cleaned up and organized to show off. Physically, the only thing that's been adjusted or changed was I did take the keyboard completely apart and washed it and cleaned it and reset everything. The main problem was the spacebar wasn't working properly because actually the little, pins that hold it in place, one of them had popped out and was flipped upside down and it was stuck like half underneath the N key. So once that was fixed, it now works nice. But also we cleaned all the crud and gunk and stuff that went on there for who knows how many years. Everything else is fine and working okay. So I'm going to hit the power button here and we're going to get booted up. I figured I might as well show another boot of it just to see how things have come along. As far as the software is concerned, Windows had already been installed in this system when I was building it in between episode 1 and episode 2 of this. However, I did need to do some final tweaks and adjustments to get everything exactly the way I wanted it to be. So there was a couple of games that I didn't have installed yet that I wanted to try out, and there was the DOS mode stuff really hadn't been set up properly. Like I kind of just threw the Phil's Computer Lab DOS files on the computer, but I hadn't really tweaked them. My preferences is, while I love like the stuff that Phil's Computer Lab, the stuff Phil's done is like, there's no way I'd be able to remember how to do all the stuff with Windows computers, these older computers, if it wasn't for the work that he's done. As well as the stuff on Vogan's. But anyways, I like customizing the DOS setup. So like the reboot to DOS mode is, instead of the menu stuff that he has set up where you can choose different things, I just want it all there. And then if there's anything that I want to have separately, I'll have a separate bat file for that you can launch from the C prompt, which I'll show off what I mean by that. So let's log in here, listen to our Windows 98 install startup. Oh, is it not loud enough? Shoot, I had the volume turned down too low. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm finished doing my little Windows 98 welcome to Windows 98 dance behind the camera. I'm going to move a little bit closer here, and we'll get right up to the screen to show off what I wanted to show off here. Enjoy playing with this computer. We spent time building and setting up. All right, I think we're looking good here. So, so the first thing I wanted to show off for the environment here, how I usually set up a Windows 98 machine, software-wise, is the Windows 98, and then I want to do updates to it to get it up and running. So what I would do in the past is use the unofficial Windows 98, what is it called? Service Pack 3, I think. And that works pretty good. You've probably seen videos from Michael MJD, and maybe I think LGR's done them one before as well, on how that all works and the experience of it. And in the past I've had a good experience with it, but I've also had bad experiences with it where it sometimes just doesn't go well. So I thought this time I would try an alternative, and that's using this program here called the Auto Patcher for Windows 98 SE. And this worked really well. So this is an all-in-one updater, just like that an official Service Pack 3, and it's got a whole bunch of very similar updates, as well as a couple customized updates that are unique to this one that you won't find in the unofficial Service Pack, and then there's stuff that's in the unofficial Service Pack that isn't in this one. But what's important is you get a whole bunch of little tweaks and patches and Microsoft updates. I'm not so worried about adding other things that I may or may not ever use, like what was some stuff that was added, like Power Menu 1.5.1. I don't even know what this is, and I don't care. because I got all the other stuff that I needed to get on this system, and the auto patcher worked really well. It is almost entirely self-installing. There's only a little bit of prompts at the beginning and a little bit of prompts, I think, at the end that you have to go through. But otherwise, you can just leave it running and it'll install patches, auto-update the system, restart Windows, and keep continuing its updates. Doing the updates on this system took about, I think, an hour and a half to 2 hours. So it takes a while, but it's one thing that you can just walk away from and it'll finish doing it. So I'm going to leave a link in the description for the auto patcher where I downloaded it from, and you can maybe give it a try for yourself. Other things I installed was a copy of 7-zip for doing archiving. I installed the Creative software, so we've got that Sound Blaster live. So I did install the Sound Blaster software that Phil's Computer Lab has installed on has on his website, and that worked perfectly. I've got CyberLink Power DVD 4.0, which I have I made an ISO of when I bought this software back in the 90s. I remember on my AMD K62 clone machine that I had built in the late 90s, I had bought Power DVD to run on that, and I still have a copy of the ISO and the serial number for it. So I used that on this machine. I put fraps on here because I wanted to show off like frame rates on a couple of Windows-based games, but some of the games I was trying it out on, it wasn't working, but it did work on Half-Life, which was one of the games that I installed on here. Image burn, of course, it's a newer workload, but for doing burning of CDs and DVDs and working with image files, it's lightweight, simple to use, easy program, and it's free. And then we've got Klingon Honor Guard demo that I wanted to try out. We'll show this off. It runs really bad. And then I've got Microsoft Office 97 on here, the full version of it, and Wireless G monitor software. So we've got that Wi-Fi G card installed, and I've got the software for that, so you can be able to find your Wi-Fi connections. It's important to remember, with a Windows 98 machine, you're not going to want to put any personal information on this. There's so much exploits that could be taken to be able to get into a machine like this. Malware you probably don't have to worry about anymore, because most malware for a Windows environment it's not going to run in a system that isn't XP, like NT based. So because this is a FAT32 based system, I don't have kernel EX installed, so there's no way that those workloads are going to be able to run on this machine. So a lot of modern malware and viruses just won't work. And you can go and do a search on YouTube, and there's a couple videos where people have physically shown that modern viruses and malware don't work on Windows 98 and 95. But if you install kernel EX, then you could be in trouble. So I don't do that on this. I want to have that, pre-2000 experience, even though there's some post-2000 stuff on here, I know. Anyways, Wireless G, you're going to have a tough time finding an access point that's going to support this Wi-Fi card. And even if you do, you're going to have to down level your security. So you're going to have to use like WPA, not WPA2. You may even have to go down to WEP protocol, which is like really poor security. So what I would recommend is, if you do want to set up a Wi-Fi network for a machine like this and not have it connected into your network, is do a guest Wi-Fi. So what I've got is I've got my new bench router that I picked up a little while back, and I have that available that I can turn on that with a guest mode, and that will allow it to be able to provide internet access, Wi-Fi access, without being part of the network. And then if I want to be on the network so I can get access to my FTP server to download and transfer files, that I go with wired. And I'm actually on wired network right now for that purpose, for downloading stuff and just testing things out. So what are we doing with a Windows 98 environment? What can we do? We can go to Opera here. I've got Opera 10 installed. And if you want to browse the web, you can do some web browsing. Right, so I've got the home page set to the old net here, and if we want to say go to, I don't know, msn.ca, we'll go check out some really bad homepage action from Microsoft with lots of Oh, what happened here? We tried to load the page from archive.org. It doesn't exist. Here, you know, we'll just go straight to it because I know the MSN.ca works on pretty much every browser ever made. So I can go to the MSN website and we can take a look at the latest news and activity, and then we can scroll down and look at all the clickbait ads. Hey, where's all the... Are the clickbait ads not loading properly? Oh, there they are. Nanotech patches. Daily horoscopes. Anyways, a lot of websites are not going to load up on an older browser like this. Anything that's HTTPS, you're going to be in trouble with. But older websites, especially when you're looking at websites that you want to be on for an older computer, there are a lot of them are supported the older formats as well. So, and this might take a while to load up, but I'm pretty sure I can go on archive.org and we can go on the Wayback Machine. OldNet works off of that as well. So, I'm going to move on here and just show off a couple other things. So, if I start Fraps, and I'll show off the problem that I have with Fraps here. So, we've got everything working fine here. And then if I want to say run, we can try running. Let me turn the volume down a little bit. We'll try running Klingon Honor Guard. And this is just a demo of Klingon Honor Guard. And this is one of the things that you might have an issue with video cards. So because I have, I guess, a newer video card, you could say, right, this MX440. In terms of the types of 3D it supports, some of these older games may not have great support for the type of 3D that those support. So Klingon Honor Guard, I think, is one of those where it doesn't support DirectX very well. So as you can see here, if I go and switch, I'm going to switch my video. I'm 800 by 600, which is the resolution of this monitor. And then I'm on low detail. So, I mean, that should be pretty good. And you can see here, like, the frame rate on it is terrible, right? 20? 17. Now when I go and run at this guy, just take a look here. I'm just gonna like you see it went down to like 17, right? So I'm not gonna keep going on this, but the this isn't a problem necessarily with the computer. This is a problem with some of these games were just so horribly programmed and designed that they figured you wouldn't notice, because if you had like a crappy computer that you've been upgrading from Windows 3.1 to 95 to 98, that you'd never notice how bad the quality is. But then when you look at a game like Half-Life, so here's Half-Life Game of the Year edition. And so this is a good quality game from Valve. Very well made, right? I'm going to go to configuration and we're going to show video. So I'm running in full screen size, got glare reduction on, and we're doing, in this case, I'm on OpenGL at 800 by 600 with the default driver, right? So that's what we're going to run. And if I go to play the game, I'm just going to start it here. We're not going to run through, but just in the opening sequence, which isn't super heavy in terms of performance requirements, you're still going to get an idea of what you have to work with in terms of speed. So on our train ride, you can see we're, 30 to 60 frames per second. The Black Mesa compound is maintained at a pleasant 68 degrees. So, that's definitely something that you got to think about in terms of performance. And the fact that Fraps actually works is great. But that's, again, part of designing a game properly, that these overlays are working properly. So you can get a pretty good experience. Like I definitely would play Half-Life with 30 to 60 frames per second. This wouldn't be an issue for me at all. And yeah, anyways, so I'm gonna cut out of this because again, I don't want to spend too much time on any one given thing. The next thing that I will mention is anything else in Windows? Oh, yeah, I have daemon tools installed as well, and that's to be able to mount ISOs for installing things, so you don't have to have CDs for literally everything that you install. So the next thing I want to look at is MS-DOS mode. So what I have done is I'll take the idea of doing the like restart in MS-DOS mode shortcut, and then I'll take all of the things I want to have in my config.sys and autoexec, and I'll put them all in here, right? So we'll do the config.sys, we're going to have HiMem, and then in the autoexec, we're going to have the CD stuff, we're going to have CT mouse, we're going to have our information for our Sound Blaster card, and I'm going to have FastVid queued up in here to be able to improve video performance for games. And yeah, so we're ready to go. That way, when I restart in MS-DOS mode, we're going to do that now. I'm going to get a reboot, and we're going to be in a DOS environment that's going to have pretty much everything I want to have ready to go. And that's, I think for a lot of people, if you want to have one of these retro machines, part of the fun is getting it all working the way you want it to work, right? And then enjoying it once it's there. So we'll get this reboot now, and what'll happen is instead of bringing up just a basic DOS prompt, or like the Phil's Computer Lab where you get the menu options, it's just going to do through all those load up CD-ROM, load up CD mouse, load up the graphics updates you can see there. So we're all ready to go now. And then, so what I'll show off here is maybe we can do DOS Bench here, and we can show off a couple other performance areas here. So if we show Doom Max Details, you can see how well this runs. Obviously, Doom is going to run really well on a machine like this. I found that especially with these DOS games, doing that FastVid improvement is such a good idea. Like if you've got any video card that isn't a crap video card, actually even if you have a crap video card, do the FastVid, because the worst it can do is give you the same performance. So there you go, 873 real ticks. Very nice. We'll look at the QuakeTime demo here next, which is going to be running at 640 by 480. And here's another one, right, that is just running really well. And if you see how well it runs at 640 by 480, the 800 by 600 will run, I think, pretty good as well, right? So you get it running at native screen resolution instead of 640 by 480. But even at this resolution, it's really good, right? Like it's ripping through here, and we're going to see our FPS 38.9, which is like, yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I want. And running at 800 by 600, I would say you probably get in the 20s. So it's still a usable experience, I would say. So we'll exit out of this, and I think as far as the stuff in DOS Bench that's, for a machine this fast, I think that's probably the most that we need to see. So let me go into games and see which games we want to show off here that might show off some other performance. So I don't know, like maybe Need for Speed's a Windows based app that I just have sitting in there. So I'll show off one thing. So one of the things here, we look at Descent and Descent 2, and this is something that I maybe still have to work on a little bit, because the sound is really weird on it. So these are the demo versions of it, but it still should be the full like engine. So if we start this up, the performance is going to be great on this, right? But I don't know if you can hear that. The music. Do you hear how it's like really slow? And I'm not sure why that is. So if we run the demo here, The demo doesn't have any music attached to it. And you can see the game. Oh, there is music. But you hear the music, it seems off. So what I think may be going on is the drivers that I installed for this for this Sound Blaster Live, they maybe aren't the ideal DOS mode drivers. So what I might have to do is delete, like take those out and not use those, and find something different from a DOS mode driver that can maybe handle the sound a little bit better. And this is the only game that I tried out of all these DOS mode games that had like any kind of weird audio stuff going on. That was, you know, something that I found was kind of weird. So what else did I want to show off here? I think the only other thing that I really wanted to show off here was one of the other reasons that I wanted to get networking installed on this machine is to try to do DOS networking. So what I got was the drivers and everything that you need to run the Intel network card on this machine. And I also downloaded MTCP, which is the a great set of utilities for DOS networking tools. And between those two, I was able to set everything up the way I wanted to. So I created an auto-exec file here called lan.bat. And what lan.bat is going to run the packet driver. And if I've set it up correctly, if I remember correctly, it'll also run the DHCP package from MTCP, which will give us our network connectivity. So you can see here, we're running the packet driver. It's all up and running. It's doing its test. And then the next thing it's going to run is MTCP is going to run DHCP, and boom, there goes the dynamite. We've got our IP address set up. So we are now network connected in DOS. And if I go to MTCP, actually, if I go to MTCP, you can see the utilities here. You've got a the DHCP server we use. There's some testing stuff, right? So DNS test, SNT, speed testing, a packet tool ping, and then you've got some services, right? So you've got an FTP, and then you've got an FTP server. You've got a telnet. You've got an HTTP server, and all those work, right? You can run a web server off of this computer in DOS mode with HTTP server. You could run an FTP server on this machine and, you know, easily push files onto this in DOS mode in any DOS-based computer. Works really well. The other thing that I thought was kind of cool is, I'm just gonna look at the directory I set up for this one and make sure I've got this in the right thing. And yeah, if I go to cdwww, we've got some DOS-based browsers. Now, I have not successfully been able to get Dillo, DOS links, or elinks to work correctly yet, but I did get Arachne to work, and that was mainly because this is probably the most advanced of all of them, and actually has a setup utility built into it that allows you to be able to get your connectivity working. So if I am working correctly here, and I go to yeah. So here we are loading up MSN. This is going to msn.com, ENCA. You can see here, and it's loading up. Uh-oh. Oh no, we crashed. This may be because of the size of the actual website that we went to. So if we go to something like theoldnet.com, right, which is, again, a website that's specifically set up for older computers and older browsers to be able to go to, we can easily get this up and running here, and you can see how we can run up here and get connected to some websites. What's also cool is we've got this mouse control here, so we can be able to mouse over and go to our back, our home, favorites, stop loading, get some other information here. So yeah, DOS, browsing the web in DOS in 2021. Who knew? Who knew? So thanks very much, Michael Polak from Arachne Labs, for putting this little program together. Yeah, so again, that's what I wanted to show off in terms of some of the fun stuff that you can do with these older computers. being able to play your Windows 98 games, those Windows 90X older games that have been remastered and put onto Steam, but they won't work in anything that's any older machine anymore. But if you've got those old CDs, you can try it the old way. And one of the things that I always enjoyed doing was playing games like Baldur's Gate. You could run Baldur's Gate, the original one, on this machine and do all the mods and stuff for it. The same way that you could do with the Steam version of Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition, which only runs now on a Windows 64-bit environment. So, you kind of get the old way or the new way. And then plus doing all this fun stuff with DOS that I thought was really cool. So, I hope you found that interesting. If you got any questions, please put them in the comments below. If there's anything that I talked about that you weren't sure where to get it from, I'd be happy to provide you links on the web for any of that places on, Phil's Computer Lab and Voguns, and any of these other, utilities and tools that I found online doing my research to prepare to make this machine. I'd be happy to share it with you so you can be able to find those as well. As always, I hope you are staying safe and healthy out there, and we'll catch you in the next one.